Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Christensen. I'm joined with Jordan Christensen.
Well, I didn't say Superman exists. What I said is God exists, and he's American.
But what I didn't tell you is that I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. That's yes. Holy, I got tinkles. Okay, I'm
so
also
good.
joined with Cameron Mickle.
Dude, you stole my quote, but this city is afraid of me. I haven't seen its true face. Oh, dude, when he says that, I was like,
Oh, so good. Rorschach.
Hey, Rorschach. All right. Always with the punchline. Always the joker. Always the comedian. Not a rapist comedian. Today we're discussing 2009, The Watchmen, or just Watchmen, I think it's called. No,
Just Watchmen.
just Watchmen.
I know.
I'm guilty.
I said it too.
Yeah, we're reviewing Watchmen, 2009, directed by Zack Snyder.
Ooh,
Schneider.
my boy. I love
Schneider.
Zach.
You're my boy.
I love
Little
Zach.
Zach.
I mean, we can dive into him in a minute, but
Yeah, writers David Hayter and Alex Z, if I'm even pronouncing that right, and the stars Jackie Earle Haley, Malin Ackerman, Billy Crudup, Matthew Good, I already mentioned that one. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Holy cow, does he not look like Javier Bardem? I thought he was the Javier Bardem for the longest time. Patrick Wilson, Carla Gugino, Matt Frewer, and a few others. Oh man.
Patrick Wilson's in, what's it called? The Founder.
Oh, is he in The Founder? I know Nick
he's
Offerman was in that one.
He's the one that gets his wife stolen from him.
Yeah, that's right. Well, he's also, I always think of him as the demon expert on The Conjuring. That's what I always know him as.
Because in The Founder, who would want someone
Bathsheba,
who's
I
super
can send
sick?
you back to hell.
Well, who would ever
Yes.
want someone who's super young and successful? But I would go for an old person who's a little bit more successful. What the fudge?
Oh my gosh, guys, let's go
she's
around.
a gold digger, Cameron.
Gold digger.
It's as gold as it comes.
So we're gonna go around and say what was it like watching this movie for the first time, and what was it like rewatching it for the podcast. Let's start with Jordan.
Oh, sweet. Okay. First time, I actually didn't love it because I watched it right when it came out. Not in theaters, sorry, so right after. I used to love, this sounds horrible. You guys would probably think very lowly of me, but I used to be obsessed with 300, like in high school and stuff. And then when I watched Watchmen, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be all visuals. This is going to be no story. And just like, story. There's still story in 300, but it's just like, pure visuals, like, everything slow-mo. And then the only slow-mo scene, well, there's a lot of slow-mo in this movie, but the one that stands out the most is the one where they're punching in the jail cell, which I felt like was the least best slow-mo shot in the rest of the movie, and so I was like, this isn't like the other sweet superhero movies I had watched growing up. Like, why is like the guy that's called a comedian like the most horrible human being on the planet? Like, I was thinking maybe he'd be like Joker or something if he's going to be a villain, but no, he's literally the worst human being on the planet. So oh geez. Anyways, so had very different expectations, a very young mind that did not understand that there was a lot more to this film. And now watching it, I absolutely loved it on the second viewing. And then I watched it like 4 times before this podcast, because I just love this movie so much. I've got the director's extended cut that's like another hour long. But
oh my gosh!
But unfortunately, for some reason, it was
Is
like,
that the one that's 2 hours and 46 minutes? That's the director's cut.
No, that's 3 hours and 30 minutes.
Oh wow! So there's even more.
Yeah.
Do you like it better or not?
Yeah, the
Do you
ultimate
like it
cut.
better?
I didn't finish it because I'm like, for some reason he ran like a filter over it, so it was darker. So I'm like, okay, it's already dark enough. I cannot see anything, so I couldn't really see it. It's just the version I owned. I don't know why they have it so dark. Maybe that was intentional, but
Interesting. Yeah, I only saw the I think it's the theatrical, the 2 hour and 42 minute one.
yeah.
Which, okay, I gotta say, for my first experience, I tried to watch this once in college. Now, I remember watching the trailer for this, as a young buck and thinking that's going to be my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah,
I think
that's
a
what I
lot
thought
of people
too.
saw this trailer and
Yes.
thought this would be the greatest movie. I mean, it falls into a very sweet spot called like Zack Snyder. His amazing technique. He'll send like clips to the guys that cut trailers or the gals, I don't know, whoever cuts movie trailers, and they're like, "This is going to be such an easy thing to piece together," because it's like, how hard is it to sell it? He has such amazing visuals. Like,
Yes.
like the slow mo shots, the visuals, the lighting, all the cool things that you like, bells and whistles that you want in a trailer. They're all there. This guy is a music video director,
exactly.
by heart. This is where he started, and so you see these clips and you're like, "Oh, this movie's going to be fetching awesome." And so I started it in college and I fell asleep like after 30 minutes. I was like, I watched the first kill, watching.
That was the same as 300. I started 300 with you and you
Yeah.
passed out. I'm like, oh,
I
geez.
passed out. He just puts me to sleep because in the end it's just visual. Like it's just like stimulating visually, but it just puts you to sleep. Really, I mean, there's no sustenance.
A
There's
2
no
hour long
substance to
music video.
It's just a beautiful looking art piece that just moves and talks it from time to time. But the thing is, I just watched it fully for the first time because I watched it. I only got for the first like 10, 15 minutes. I got to where the comedian was thrown out the window, and I was like, well, that was cool. And then that was pretty much it. And I never watched it again. I never finished the movie. That's as far as I got. I saw a comedian get thrown out the window. Don't know why. Years later, I finally watched it for this podcast today, and I'm like, is Watchmen like one of my top, I don't know, 50 films of all time?
Yeah.
I freaking love this movie. I was
Amazing.
surprised at how much I loved it. I kept thinking like, well, why is this on every list of movies that were worse than their trailer, or like trailers that were better than the movie? That's like in every single list. It's always The Watchmen is like number one. And it's like, well, the trailer's good, but they drew from this movie, and I watched the movie and I thought the movie was good.
Predators
Like, why
is
did I
better
think this
than
movie's
the
good?
Predators trailer is better than the movie.
I disagree with that, but okay.
How about the Battle Los Angeles? That's another one of my
Okay,
favorite
well,
ones.
yeah, that one.
That
yeah.
trailer looks so fetching BA, and then you watch the movie and you're like, this is stupid. Stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, why did I
Yes.
sit down to watch it? Because Battle Los Angeles looked fetching amazing, that trailer. Then you watch the movie. No sustenance. No sustenance. It had no nutrients. Gave me no eagle powers. Oh, I gotta say, I don't know anything about the source material, and now I'm actually curious to go back and review all the comics and because I have the video game and I gave it away to somebody because I was like, oh, I'll never play it. I heard the movie sucked. Now I'm like, why did I get rid of the video game? I need to see if I could order on Amazon and have it here in 2 days so I can play it all the way through. Because I love this movie, guys. So let's go to release the Snyder cut.
Cameron, do you want to go? I think Ty's thing is not working.
Yeah, for sure. So just what it was like watching it.
Yeah.
It was definitely something that had been on my watch list for a long time, and me and Jordan had talked about it a ton of times, and we'd watched the trailer a bunch of times as well. And I was super happy because once I watched it, because I knew it was a long movie going in, so I was kind of like, okay, I got to brace myself. Because it is 2 hours and 42 minutes, so it's kind of a long film.
And you had
but-
seen 300 before it, right?
No.
You watched it with Jake. You told me seen 300.
No, I'd seen Gladiator.
I don't know about that. Okay, keep going.
I know I haven't seen 300, nerd.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
That's okay, Cameron. Dad to this day thinks I've seen the movie Tuxedo starring Jackie Chan, where he has a tuxedo that helps him fight kung fu, and still haven't seen it to this day. And it gets funnier every time I see him. I'm like, hey, still haven't seen that movie, but I don't know if I'm old enough to see it though. It's one of those really bad PG-13 movies where Jackie Chan does kung fu on someone's face.
Yeah.
Not good.
Cameron, this was your first time watching it, right?
Yeah, well, I watched it a couple months ago for the first time, and so just overall, it was a really great experience. They did a lot of really good things. I don't know, I was a little unsatisfied with the ending, but overall, I really enjoyed it.
About what? So what about the ending? Was it like Rorschach dying? Like what was it? Was it the nuclear holocaust?
Spoiler alert, by the way. We're going
sorry.
to spoil the heck out of this movie. So, yeah. But people should know that we spoil the movies.
No, well, I actually didn't mind Rorschach dying. I thought that was kind of cool because
I didn't like Rorschach dying.
Me
so,
neither.
Karen, I take issue with you.
I
The fact
love Rorschach.
Rorschach was freaking the bomb diggity, man.
That's kind of why I felt like as soon as he died, like. I felt like it was kind of a good conclusion. I was like, hey, I don't really need any more Watchmen as soon as Rorschach's gone. Because if Rorschach would have lived, I would have been like, okay, I need a sequel. I need to see more Rorschach.
Oh, Yeah.
It was a little anticlimactic of his death, but
No, I thought it was amazing, dude. Night Owl yelling. Oh my gosh, that got me.
Yeah, he's a tragic
So good.
hero for sure.
Yes.
yeah.
What does he say? No compromise for truth, or what? I can't remember what he says. He says such a great line. No compromises, period. That was friggin' awesome. Don't compromise with power. You know what's crazy? So I was going to say that, Cameron, this movie came out 10 years too early because, let's be real here, this movie belongs right along with The Boys, like
Yeah.
season 1 and season 2. Like, this show, I was like, wait, this came out in 2009? I'm blown away because I'm like, all I have to compare this to is like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man at the time, right? Like, and you're right, Tim Burton's Batman. But it's like, that was all the superhero films that people had, and they're like, I think they're ready for this shit. Like, no one could have been prepared for this. Nowadays, we would eat this stuff up. Now it makes sense that there's a TV show on HBO, Watchmen. You know, like, that makes sense to me. But I'm just amazed that this ever got greenlit. I guess Zack Snyder, they probably looked at him and they're like, you're the kind of guy that could make this movie happen. After 300, he got the green light to do whatever he wanted, right?
Terry Gilliam, the guy who did Monty Python, wanted to do it. Yeah, he would have ruined it. I'm sorry. It's just not. It would have been so weird.
It's not the right tone.
No.
Right, yeah. It wouldn't have fit the tone. Because even if you did like a dark satire, it just would have been a different movie. And this movie is stoic. I mean, I haven't read any of the comics or anything like that. But, I mean, Rorschach, you know, the tragic hero, I didn't realize this. And every time I watch a noir film, I'm like, is noir my favorite genre of movie? Noir and Western? I said Western earlier because, you know, you shoot now, ask questions later. Noir, I worry because I've never gone back and watched any of my favorite noir films, like Citizen Kane.
In fear of like not loving it as much.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you know the mystery. Like Tenet, I freaking love Tenet. It's a noir spy thriller with sci-fi rolled into it.
Well, have you seen
This
Blade Runner
movie-
2049 yet, Ty?
I've seen it once, but I'm terrified to go back
Yeah,
and watch
I was
it.
terrified, but
Yeah.
I watched it again, just as good. Actually, better
good?
the second time.
Maybe,
Better.
yeah, and I think I would definitely benefit from showing other people the film because, yes, I love the film. So maybe I'm like, oh, you don't know what's going to happen. That gives me so much joy. But having seen it, I just don't know if I'd watch it myself because after watching this movie, I'm like, oh, I'm going to show my wife this film. I'm going to show everyone I know this film. I'm going to ask every one of my close friends if they've seen this film, and we're going to do a movie night. And I'm going to buy the movie poster for my movie poster box. 'Cause
Yeah, I got
freaking
two
loved
movie
it.
posters for The Watchmen, dude. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And I was just amazed because, again, all I had heard was after I watched the first scene, I'm like, oh, I heard the movie's no good. And then, like, I watched it all these years later. I'm like, everyone's just dumb. Why do I listen to anyone? I should figure out, hey, that looks interesting and watch it and figure it out for myself. I'm done listening to people because apparently no one in this world can peg me. You know, they just don't know what my tastes are. Because I love
Yeah,
this film.
I don't.
I loved it. It was great. The ending works for me, Cameron, for so many different reasons. Without this movie, how do you have The Dark Knight from Christopher Nolan? How do you have The Noble Lie? This movie is like everything. Like comics like these, I can't believe existed. I'm like, I only found out there was good music until like 2 days ago.
Scott
Quoting
Pilgrim.
Edgar Wright, of course. Chow Knives. But anyway, I just feel like I'm just discovering like a whole new world. I'm like, there was always good things that existed. You just needed to know where to look for it. And a bunch of idiots were like, oh, it's not the happy, you know, Tim Burton-y cheesy Batman superhero story. It's like, you know, it's a grisly tale about humankind, and even if superheroes existed, it's a really bleak interpretation of what the world would be like. And yeah, you're right, a satire. But it's like, honestly, I watch it, I'm like, it's not unbelievable. Like, it's probably exactly how they behave. Like, like Dr. Manhattan is so powerful, you feel nothing. You literally have no empathy for planet Earth. You're like, these people suck. Every time I hang out with them, I get bogged down. Yeah, I'm out of touch now, but it's like, I just don't feel like I belong here. And sometimes I'm like, I feel that way, man. If I was all powerful, just let the world burn. Like, you're ungrateful pieces of garbage and just set it on fire. I mean, I know that sounds super nihilistic and evil, but like, you have shows like Rick and Morty that all exist because of this material. Like, Watchmen set it all off. The Boys, the Noble Lie, all that stuff. Like, yeah, you're right. It was 10 years too soon. I need to go now watch the show, read the comics. I'm excited. I just opened a can of worms, and I'm entering a rabbit hole. Sick, twisted mind, dude. Yeah, you know what's crazy that you mentioned that? Yeah, like V for Vendetta. I mean, like, these are all cautionary tales too.
Yeah.
Like, none of these are just like a fantasy. It's like, this is what happens when you let something go unchecked for too long, right? Humanity, passions, all those things. And just like The Boys, you know, I couldn't imagine The Boys coming out in 2009. It just would have been booed off of any platform. Like, there's no way it would have gotten funding because because you watch it now and it's like, I honestly watch it and it's almost like a middle finger to the campy superhero Marvel universe, like the MCU. It's literally just like a middle finger saying like, oh yeah, like they call them soups. Like they have no regard for superhero people. Every single one of the superheroes are just narcissistic, evil, conniving people. Like they're all corrupt politicians, they're actors, they're phonies, they're all fake. They're plastic. It's so good and it's delicious. And this movie, they even do it one step further than The Boys. I thought The Boys were like nuanced in that. I'm like, dude, they just stole all the evil things from Watchmen. I mean, holy cow. The comedian, terrible person, Manhattan, not even very redeemable. You know, you you can literally convince that guy into doing that. You tricked this all-powerful being. I'm like, man, even Superman can be tricked, and you can win Superman not based on strength, but you can beat him out with a game of chess. It's crazy. Or a fully functioning prefrontal cortex. I mean, like something screwy with Homelander, right, in The Boys, and that's what this movie shows with like the comedian, right? He obviously has a lot of issues, right? You find out it's like borderline PTSD. I mean, if it's not full-blown PTSD, where he struggles with things and you're like, okay, this guy is clearly so powerful, letting all this power go to his head, and he literally is the most animalistic human being on the planet, you know, just no remorse, killing indiscriminately.
One of my favorite scenes is when they're showing Rorschach those images of his own mask, and it's like he's like, I see pretty flowers and a butterfly.
Jeez,
and it's showing
flashbacks.
Yeah, flashbacks.
Freaking childhood where he's been bullied his whole life and he had a parent that, of course, slow-mo, I wish I had that abortion. Just like, jeez.
Yeah, that was a little too on the nose for me.
But again, it works because he's a kid and that's how you remember moments.
Yeah,
like
Cameron.
those, right? Yeah, Cameron, give it a break, man.
Yeah, Cameron,
a tough
cut
life.
some slack.
He's a redhead, man. That's hard enough on a kid. Jeez.
Still a little too on the nose for me.
It was. Why do you think no one's ever become a superhero? Because they get kicked.
KK.
Hey, have we had a plot recap? I don't know if we've done a plot recap.
Shoot.
We went right into
No,
our favorite
do you
things.
want to do
Real
that
quick,
type?
I'll just read it real quick.
Yeah.
In 1985, where former superheroes exist, the murderer of a colleague sends active vigilante Rorschach into his own sprawling investigation, uncovering something that could completely change the course of history as we know it. That was vague enough. I loved it. This movie benefits from the noir. So let's go around and say two of our favorite things. We've shared some things already, but just real brief. Cameron, why don't we start with you? Two of your favorite things from this film.
So obviously I'm probably going to steal your guys'. My first favorite thing is definitely Rorschach. Just his overall character.
But you're okay with him dying. Yeah, so okay. That's good to know. You're like, I love the character, but yeah, he needs to die.
Well, no, he was just my favorite character.
He's Kylo Ren. He just needs to die after the kiss with Rey. He just needs
That's
to
not what
disappear
Cameron said.
to Spirit Fairyland.
I didn't.
He said he didn't have a problem with him dying, and I'm just upset about that. That's
That
all.
doesn't mean I said he needed to die. You're actually autistic.
Jeez.
What I was saying is I was just totally fine with what's called him dying because he was my favorite character, and so it kind of just I was like, okay, this is the end, you know. And then my other favorite thing is I really liked Matthew Good, or who played Ozymandias. I really liked to hate him. He reminded me a lot of Malfoy. He just kind of had that like that uppity, like I'm better than everybody because I'm so intelligent. And just that scene where like the guy comes into the like out of the elevator and then like starts shooting whatever, and like he just like takes him down like so I feel like over the top, and he's just like in a suit or whatever and just acting like, oh, I'm so fucking amazing. And I'm just like, it just proves like how stupid or like how arrogant he is. And I just thought he was he's kind of like an anti-hero. He reminded me a little
Cameron,
bit.
he only relates to Alexander.
Yeah, Alexander the Great. I'm like, okay.
The only person I found in common with.
Yeah, that one.
But I'm sure if he met his hero, he would be just as disappointed. Like, just like the whole theme, you don't meet your heroes because, yeah, they'll disappoint you. So,
What is that, bean juice? Human bean juice.
that was one of my favorite lines, too.
We're going to go to Jordan real quick. What are your two favorite things, Jordan?
I was definitely going to mention the lines. I didn't realize that he took them straight from the comic books, but I was going to ask you that question next because I loved a lot of those lines. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, that was really clever, like how that was worded and how they said that. And there's so many moments where kind of like watching Game of Thrones with Cameron, just a lot of lines that are delivered like are like jabs at each other, and I'm just like, these are really funny. And so that was really well done. And then obviously Cameron already mentioned Rorschach. He is my favorite person. It's probably second favorite person would be Night Owl. I'm a huge Captain America nerd, so I love people that are like very textbook when it comes to the rules and stuff. It's like, oh, this is how a superhero has to be. And I just love one of my favorite scenes in this movie. Well, there's a lot, but one of them is when so after there's that riot.
Is it textbook to, I don't know, the most powerful human being on Earth's wife or girlfriend? Is that textbook, Jordan? See, he has his weakness. That's my point, though. Chase brought this up. He still has a weakness.
Yes.
Like, I actually thought that was going to bring... I was trying to predict the end of this movie. I was like, that's going to end the world. Manhattan's going to be like, my girlfriend's been cheating with the Night Owl. Like, I'm going to end the world, dude. I thought that's how it ended, dude. It'd be like, my girlfriend's cheating on me. He just ends the planet. Like, I thought that's how it happened, dude.
Well, okay. Well, and then so one of my favorite scenes is it was like during the 80s or something, because everybody's got those big fros and stuff, and they're all these hippies are like breaking stuff and smashing the city, and they're mad because of superheroes. And my favorite part is and he's just on that radio saying like, everybody calm down, we're gonna take care of this. And then the comedian's just like, screw this, and he jumps down and starts kicking the crap out of people. Like, first person he punches is a chick in the face, and then he takes out a shotgun and just starts shooting into an open crowd of people. It's amazing.
An outlaw mask
Jordan,
anyway.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Having fun now.
But that's my favorite part, is when Night Owl says, like, what happened to us? Like, I love that line and how he delivers it, and then he turns and he's like, what about the American dream? And he's like, you're looking at it. Like, I love that part so freaking much.
Jordan, did you realize that Rorschach is, what's his name? George Noyce from Shutter Island.
I knew it from Shutter Island. Yeah, I was gonna mention
He's the guy.
The creepy
He's the guy in the
dude,
cage.
yeah.
He's like, you're in a cage. You don't even know it's a cage. Yeah.
No,
It's the same movie, Cameron. This is the same universe, man.
Oh, jeez. That's where they got him.
DiCaprio's head. Yeah, that's where they put him after.
Well, he's
he
dead
got
though.
blasted. He got exiled there.
Oh, I don't know how he was in the comic books, but
He nailed what I imagined Rorschach would be. Like, I would say two of my favorite things. I love what you guys have mentioned. For me, I love to say the visuals, because I know in a Zack Snyder film, the visuals can usually be like, okay, like they're all just used in a montage, right? All the visuals you saw in the trailer. But to be honest, I felt a lot of these visuals, like more so than I ever did with 300 and movies like Dawn of Justice and the Batman vs Superman or whatever. Because I like again, my favorite scene in the trailer was that woman reaching out on the Batman vs Superman, when she's reaching out to Superman like a godlike figure, and she's like praying. It's literally shown in a montage. Like, you don't know who that lady is. There's no significance, but it's a beautiful shot. This one, the visuals work because you know all the characters and you know what's at stake. So like even Manhattan transforming, you realize that this was a guy with like, he had a heart. He liked his women or whatever. He liked a woman, and then he like transformed into this crazy human being with like a big glowing blue. So I mean, like he obviously everything, every visual had weight. Okay, like every single one of them had weight and had consequences, right? Like,
yes.
Usually in a Zack Snyder film, they're visually stunning because they're visually stunning, and there's no substance to it. But the substance lands. I cared so much of even the slow motion moments where I'm like, oh, like I love Patrick Wilson's character where he's like he can't feel anything with Manhattan's girl, so he's like, let's go out and save some people from a burning building. And he's like, yeah, I'm freaking like, yeah, I feel great now, and he's like ready to. It's just like it's so weird. It's like everyone is despicable, and everyone is like everyone is feeling like something empty inside. And even the comedian, he was crying because he didn't realize that even comedian feels something, and he's been so affected by how, like, what happened to us, right? That's Patrick Wilson's line. And it's like the humanity is left from everyone, and no one's left with anything. Everyone's empty inside, and holy cow, like this movie made me feel for everyone. I was worried about Rorschach. I was worried about justice being served. I was worried about the noble lie continuing. I was worried about the Draco Malfoy getting off with just getting punched in the face. And Billy Crudup's character, or not Billy Crudup, the Matthew Good's character, he's just going to go on being evil, the leader of the corporation. He's going to own the world. and everyone just has to go along believing it because otherwise it's World War III and the world ends. It's a zero-sum game.
Ty, when you heard the
lie.
song "Hello Darkness, Here's My Friend," did it make you think of the Ben Affleck video in Dawn of Justice interview when they're just zooming in on his face?
Well,
That is a great video.
The music was so good. Like, even the times are changing in that montage was such a
Yes.
good way of setting the tone for this movie.
Best
which again,
montage.
people are watching this like only off of like what, Spider-Man and Batman. Like, they had two superhero movie franchises to go off of, and they're like, oh, what's Watchmen? It's like, is this the future of comic books? Like, no, thank you. That's why it killed all those superhero movies until Iron Man came out, and it's like, no, we can have a few grisly things here, but it's gonna be campy and light, and it's gonna be kind of fun. You know, like, his darkest thing is he's an alcoholic and a womanizer, and he's got demons and everything. But it's like this was like full blown, like, who are you rooting for in this movie? Like, oh my gosh, like, it's crazy. Anyway, I was blown away. Those are my two favorite things. I was blown away. I love this film. And now I want to go research everything else. So my only nitpick is, like, I don't know enough about Watchmen. I have to go read comics now. I have to watch the new show. I have to do the video game. There's so much material.
What happened to that guy anyway? He did the same thing to Rorschach, so he threw him down the elevator shaft.
That was a joke. He's like, oh, not funny. It's so great.
Oh my gosh.
Holy cow, yeah.
That scene
so
when he
many
breaks
great
that
lines.
dude's wrist in prison. Ooh,
Oh.
I felt
Well,
that, dude.
and then they have to saw through it to get through.
That was so insane. Yes, that was so gross. But, like, I love when he's like, that creepy elf looking guy. He's like, arrest me. Or not the elf. It was the psycho murderer psychopath that killed the girl or whatever. And Rorschach finds her, and he's like, okay, I admit I killed the girl. Arrest me. And he goes, men get arrested, dogs get put down. And he just freaking kills him. Like, oh, and then he hits him with the cleaver like 8 times. That was really disturbing. But holy shit, it's like, you're right. Into my defense, I've always said this on the podcast. Movies, I'm all for that vigilante justice. In real life, it's a different story. I'm just talking about this movie. I'm like cheering for Rorschach. I want him to win. I want him to get justice. Seeing him, it's a tragic hero because in the end, he's facing down Manhattan, who is undeniably the greatest being on Earth, not of this Earth, and just completely, his death was just so perfect.
Well, did he remind you a little bit of the guy from Taxi? Is it Taxi Driver?
Wait, Ty, did you just say his death was perfect?
Is poetic, yes, but see, I still took issue with it because I'm upset about it, Cameron. I'm upset. It was perfect, but I'm so upset.
Didn't he kind of remind you of Taxi Driver a little bit, Ty? Just like that whole him at the beginning talking about Rorschach's journal, and he's like all the horrors and all these like horrible people, when they reach up and they say save me, and I'll say no.
Yeah, I love that line, but it reminds me a lot of Sin City and also The Spirit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie The Spirit. That one wasn't as good as Sin City.
Yeah, it's not as good.
Same thing. It's like, the Grizzly Dark Journal, the classic guy with the fedora and the trench coat with the cigarette, like walking through the city. Dame, she told me she came here and she needed my help. And I'm gonna do the best. Like it's literally, but man, he did it so well. You're right.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird because it's almost like a parody now, but the way he pulled it off, I freaking felt it. Anyway, I ranted too much about this. I had to gush about it for a second.
Good.
Those are my two favorite things. I was just blown away because I've been told my whole life that this movie was a sham, that it was no good, and I'm just finding out that this is a good movie.
Oh,
so.
I loved you. You texted us. Was it today or when was it, Cameron?
Yeah, it was earlier today. It was
Today.
at 11 o'clock, and Ty said, I love Watchmen. Does that make me a bad person? And then he texts us 7 hours later, what are we doing tonight for the pod?
No, because, okay, in my defense, I thought we were doing something in addition. I was right. We were doing Fateful Findings, so we did that today as well in the pod. Okay, any nitpicks real quick? Does anyone have any things? Chase, I was actually really eager to get back to you. You said that there were some things that Zack Snyder tried to do that didn't work so well in this interpretation in the movie.
I love when she hits the fire comes shooting out of the.
I thought they were going to set a building on fire. I think that would have actually just hit the nail on the head for me. I thought that would have been really funny if they set another building on fire. They would have been like, oh,
No, that was for Homelander to do, to squish that guy's face while he was with Stormfront.
You don't know who you're rooting for either.
Yeah.
Like, you're like,
That's why I didn't like it in high school, because I'm like, oh man, this is horrible. Like,
there's no, like, because they portray him as like the cool guy, right? Like, I mean, comedian is supposed to be the cool, guns blazing, diehard figure, right? Like, But you find out he's just a shell of a man, right? He's a rapist at heart, and that's horrifying.
Well, and he killed a pregnant woman too. It's just like, oh.
Well, the mother of his child, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
it's gross.
Pretty horrifying. And what's wild is, like, I think we could agree that, like, I think there are 3 untouchables in movies, right? They're like children. Well, I mean, in order, right? I mean, it's like little children, then dogs, then adult women, right? I mean, and this movie does all 3. Like, the guy literally, Rorschach throws 2 poor dogs through a window at a serial killer and kills them. So you already got the dogs harmed. Then you have a pregnant woman, so you got 2 in 1 there. And then, yeah, a horrific rape scene. So, like, all 3 of these things going for this movie. Like you said, this is a satire of nothing. That's perfectly said, because nowadays I'm not even surprised to see this, but I'm like, I can't even imagine in culture 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, like what it was like to open this can of worms and be like, oh, okay, Zack Snyder, you're a messed up guy. Maybe you, like, this is your psycho fantasy. Like, I'm amazed the guy got work after this.
Alfred Hitchcock always said it's sometimes better to not show stuff and just leave it to the imagination, which sometimes is worse in our minds, but, you know, at least we don't have to see it, so.
You didn't need any more reason to hate the comedian. It was already apparent with the Vietnamese lady being shot. Like, there was nothing else they needed to make him a more despicable character. And it's like, need I say more? Here's this scene. And it goes on for way too long. I totally agree. It goes on the point of gratuity. I'm going to ask everyone here. So what do you guys think about the moral dilemma at the end? Are you guys on Rorschach's side? Like, do you agree? Just tell the world you'd never... I actually find myself agreeing with Rorschach. I don't think it's right to say, well, we're going to stop World War III, so let's kill millions to save billions. I don't agree with that. I agree with the Rorschach. You tell the truth, because we don't know that World War III is coming. Now, even if it is as imminent as it has been, I don't think there's ever been a time on the planet Earth where we didn't think that the doomsday was hanging over us, that Armageddon was coming around the corner, Cuban Missile Crisis, COVID-19, like all these dumb things that keep coming up, and it's like, we're all going to end, the world's going to end. And I get it. Like, it does appear that every single day we're getting closer and closer. And there is horrifying powers and technology that exist in the world that could actually make that a reality. But I still don't think that, okay, let's just have a common enemy and falsify this event and make it someone else's fault so we can find a common enemy. I don't like the whole, I think the truth shall set you free, which sounds super stupid. I'm kind of an idealist that way. I'm curious what you guys think. Like, did they make the right decision? Do they kill Rorschach and just say, hey, Manhattan did this and he'll go out and live on Mars and he'll be fine? Like, I think it's the wrong thing. It hinges when he tells him, that's my favorite line from the villain, is he goes, I wouldn't monologue and tell you if I didn't already have it set 35 minutes ago. He's like, that was the craziest mind-dropping or jaw-dropping moment for me, because it's like the doomsday machine goes off and then it literally happens as he's like monologuing. So they can't stop it. And like you said, Jace, you're right. It's already happened. So now they have a different moral dilemma where it's like, do we just discount all these deaths? Do we let them die for nothing? Or can we just carry on the lie? And that is a pretty horrifying thing, because it's easy to make the choice before you set off the doomsday device, which is what every Marvel movie does, right? Or reverses the decision where you snap your fingers and half of the world dies. And then it's like, no, this one, they've already died. How are you going to come back from it? Like, I think that's interesting that you mentioned it. The decision is harder. Where do you stand? If you had a magic wand, would you go and profess the truth, or do you just let it sleeping dogs lie where they are?
Oh, I love that we're talking about this, because it totally reminds me of like the Dark Knight Rises, like him, you know, setting up a secret, and then the third film, they release that secret, you know, Bane releases it. And I love, because I knew watching it a second time, this movie, like I loved it. And it's like, it's because of the reasons we're discussing. There's so much about this film, and I feel like so many other films are starting to do that now. And it's just, I think it was totally ahead of its time. So,
Jordan, Cameron, how about you guys? Like, do you guys think, like, are you on Rorschach's side or are you on Manhattan? You're just like, well,
of course I'm with Rorschach 100%.
Yeah.
Freaking Oz.
Yeah, come on, son.
What a loser.
well, see, I just find it interesting because, yeah, it's like no one wants to side with, you know, skinny boy, Ozymandias or whatever, but.
We don't think that Night Owl wouldn't say something? Oh, jeez. Well, because he knew he would die. That's why I'm saying later we don't think he would have said something. I don't know.
On his dying day, maybe.
They had a cartoon of the Watchmen, too. I thought that was really good. If any of you saw that, it was pretty fun. At least the first section of it, because it was like, has 3 separate sections, and they had this really cool animated thing. I thought that was dope.
Cool. Favorite quotes from the movie?
I think we said most all of them. I was looking
Yeah,
at my
We
quotes
did
and I'm
say
like, dang it, we
most
said every
favorite
single
ones.
one.
I didn't know if you guys had any one last thing. I did like Dr. Manhattan's quote where he said, like, I felt fear for the last time. I thought that was kind of a cool quote.
Oh, wait,
That's why
did I already say this one where she's like, yeah, my mom made me wear all that latex, so it's so awful? And the guy's like, yeah, so awful.
I actually said Rorschach is he shares that story where he's like, I heard a joke once. Man goes to the doctor, says he's depressed. Life seems harsh and cruel, says he feels all alone in a threatening world. Doctor says treatment is simple. The great clown Pagliacci is in town. Go see him. That should pick you up. And he goes, man bursts into tears. But doctor, he says, I am Pagliacci. He goes, good joke. Everybody laugh. Roll the snare drum. Curtains. It's so freaking good.
Well, I love
that.
too when he says everybody laugh and he says it with the most straight voice ever. So
Yeah.
eerie.
Everybody laugh.
Everybody
Yeah,
laugh.
he is by far the most serious person I've seen on screen. And he takes himself so seriously, but how does it work? Maybe it's just because I've never seen this guy before, and his mask is so BA, it keeps like forming like the phantom, I don't know, the blotchy oil spills on his face or whatever they are.
It's those images that people hold up cards. That's why my favorite part was when he sees the doctor again after he showed him the cards. He puts on the mask and says, now tell me, doctor, what do you see?
You see? Yeah.
That's so freaking
good.
awesome, dude. And then,
So
he's
good.
always, you know, where's my face, right? Like he keeps saying, my mask is my face. That's his identity. He's so far down. Yeah, he doesn't. He's left behind. Who is?
Yeah,
his
that kind
alter
of
ego,
that's
or
what
his
kind of
alternate
reminds me of the Dark Knight trilogy, because you see Bruce Wayne start to lose his own identity, and that's why he struggles giving up the mask, is because he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not really happy and satisfied with what he sees underneath the mask.
I liked Rorschach's journal. Every time he started an entry, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Rorschach's journal. I love that.
Rorschach's journal.
I don't have another quote, but I do love the scene when, going back to the music choices, I love when they do 99 Red Balloons, when she walks into the diner for the first time and he sees her. Well, not for the first time, but they've known each other for a long time, but he hasn't seen her in a long time, and he's like taking off his glasses and cleaning them. I just like love that scene for some reason. Like anytime somebody like sees somebody that they really like and the music comes on blazing, like, I don't know. I love moments like that.
I wonder how much I want to give Zack Snyder credit, but it must be the source material, because there was a great all of Manhattan's like monologues about nihilism, like when he talked about miracles, was really good, where he's like, they're just the astronomical odds that occur, and you know, he was just so like he was so pessimistic. I don't know, I just love that in the time where superhero films are like, don't think about it, we're good people, you know. Captain America, I will do what's right even if it harms me. It's like, this one's like, yeah, I'm gonna do whatever feels good or whatever I want, you know, and everyone else can deal. Like, yeah, that is so good. His quotes of nihilism, and then like, I don't feel anything for the world. You're the only thing that ties me to the world, and you know, it's like, yeah, you're here, but I don't even feel anything that you're here now. You're just like, gosh, this guy's a ticking time bomb. Someone give him some love or something. Tell him you love him. Give this guy a hug, even if he's not wearing a pants or a thong. Just give him a hug, please.
Yeah, if you don't want to get fake cancer.
Yeah, like he even says, I remember, yeah, I wrote, he goes, well, in my opinion, the existence of life is a highly overrated phenomenon. I was like,
No.
oh my gosh.
The sad line was when he was like, a live person, a dead person, there is no difference. They have the same amount of, what was the word? Like atoms or something?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the guy was crazy. Guy's freaking crazy. Oh my gosh. How much of the Dr. John is still in Dr. Manhattan? Is there any humanity left in him, or did that?
No, they
get
did.
erased?
They even said in the I finally caught it the fourth time around. Every time the Oz he like does his little monologue at the end, like I always check out. Like I even wrote up down a bunch of questions I had. I'm like, oh, how did the guy get the capsule in his mouth? And then I'm like, oh, and it's the part I check out of every time at the end, because he says, literally answers all the questions I had at the very end. Ozymandias said, he's like, your boyfriend, you know, he's practically, you know, nobody else can see his emotions, but I can. He's on the verge of
Yeah, he
bursting
mentioned
the
the
tears.
face twitches, right? And he's like,
Yeah.
I could get to the people that he loved, quote unquote, right? Yeah, even the small. It's kind of like the whole like Star Trek thing where like Spock feels like he doesn't feel emotion, but you're like, yeah, I know you care, but deep down inside, you're a softie. It's like Rick and Morty. Like, you watch Rick and you're like, I know you say you hate Morty, but deep down inside, you love him. And they're like, no, he in fact doesn't like him. You know, all the edgelords that are like, Rick is a soulless person and he doesn't like his son. You know, he just uses him to. It's like, maybe it's both. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. And I can speculate however I want, because in order to watch Rick and Morty, I have to believe that Rick cares about Morty. Otherwise, I can't watch the show because it's terrible. It's a terrible show. Just like this movie here. I have to believe that Dr. Manhattan isn't out there living on Mars, ready to end the planet any minute now that he gets bored with us. Like, that's terrifying. It's crazy. I read The Walking Dead. That's the only comic I've ever done. So and
good.
Calvin and Hobbes. Those are the only 2 comic books I've ever read. So I'll give this one a look, though, because I did love the movie. So if they took anything from the source material, I'd love to see where it came from first. Any quotes? Any other
I think
quotes
we
before?
did the
We've
quotes
done
already.
pretty much everything.
I just didn't know if you guys had any other ones. Real quick, best character or best actor? I want to say Rorschach because he sells it. Like, I mean,
You wanna say Rorschach?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's kind of a toss-up because I do like some of the other characters. Well, like is a loose term. I just think that they were very interesting. It's hard to say, like, who did the best performance. I guess Rorschach was chewing the scenery, in my opinion, so I think Rorschach wins. Do you guys have anyone else that you'd nominate? Best actor?
No, he's definitely the best. Like,
Yeah.
I love Night Owl, but he's the best.
How about worst actor? I don't know why. I feel so bad saying this. The mother sometimes bothered me. I don't know why. Like,
I like her.
yeah. Not the victim of Comedian. I'm talking about the mother Cameron mentioned of Rorschach's mom. I should have had the abortion.
Okay, she can win the overacting award.
Yeah.
I mean,
So good.
I do think there was a
Right on
few
the
times I'm like,
nose.
maybe you should have let that actor say that line one more time. Like the girl, you know, finding out, not that scene where she finds out who her father really is, but there was 1 or 2 lines she delivered that I'm like, you could have delivered that maybe 1 or 2 more times.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I feel bad too because I'm like, I didn't know if I've ever seen her in anything before.
She's in The Heartbreak Kid. It's really good. You should
Right,
watch
but
it.
see, was that before or after this? Like, I
don't
feel
know.
like, yeah, I'd be curious to know that. But one other thing about at the end, the fat guy with the T-shirt, with the Watchmen T-shirt, gets ketchup stain all over it or whatever. I don't know why. That made me laugh so hard. It made me think of like. That's how like me and Jordan would end a movie, like a homemade video that we would do. Like, you told this amazing story, and at the end it's like some fat guy gets like a journal. He's like, oh, well, I'll write a story about this then. Or so, I don't know why this is so funny. Like, he's like, what are we gonna write about now? Everyone's like singing Kumbaya. Like, there's no harm in the world, right? We all live in peace and harmony. It's like, we need to stir up some controversy. And he's like, oh, he finds Rorschach's journal, right? I don't know why I just thought that was so cheesy, but I mean, like, it's good because that's like how I'd like the movie to end. It's just some nerdy guy that writes at a paper. I don't know. It just made me laugh. I don't know why. It wasn't stoic, right? It totally changed the mood of the whole movie at the end, where it was literally kind of a joke, right? Maybe that was the whole point, but I was just surprised it wasn't like a stoic editor or a writer. It was like some fat guy dripping ketchup on his cell.
Oh, I guess I forgot one last quote, and he's like, "It's all a joke. It's all an effing joke."
Yeah, it's good. And so we're gonna get into. Would you guys recommend this film? Hard, yes.
Yes.
Definitely have to know the person for me. It's
Just
the same thing
little
with The
kiddos,
Boys.
protect your children. This is an adult film. Holy cow! This is not a movie where you're like, "Hey kids, it's got superheroes in it. You'll love it." No, there's not a single.
Oh, good
redeemable
point.
character.
Yeah, if you like The Boys, then it's up your alley. So, or Game of Thrones.
It's up your alley. Well, also, if you love like Marvel movies and you don't want to jab at them or wish there was something satirical to point fun at the fact that every one of them ends with giant beams in the sky and that they all end with happy-go-lucky characters with quippy one-liners, yeah, this is because like you might like those films and be like, oh, I didn't like this. Like, yeah, like if you're wedded to them. To me, it's nice to take a break and watch something like this. So yeah, that's why I liked it. So Deadpool, yeah. For sure. Or even Logan, kind of remind me of Logan a little bit. Very nihilistic, very, very grisly. Yeah, grizzly boys. Awesome. All right. We're going to get into, we always end every podcast by saying things that we liked, movies that we've seen lately and movies that we're looking forward to seeing. I have a good video essay to recommend to you from, I think it's Filmento or Filmento. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Filmento. Watch his essay on it because he explained what I couldn't put my finger on. Because I, too, loved that film. And then I had all my friends like, that Wonder Woman's garbage. And I was like, well, it's only garbage because at the end, the last 5 minutes, they literally ruined the whole movie. Which is weird because I actually didn't mind the ending. I'm like, okay, whatever. There's this evil Hades, Lord of the Dead, or whatever he is, fighting Wonder Woman. Fine. It's great. And I don't care what happens in the CGI battle, but they duke it out. But you realize, like, it negates the whole reason of the last hour and 40 minutes that you spent watching.
Multiverse of Madness.
Dude, that's my director, man. Sam Raimi coming back to direct a superhero film. Mwah.
So good.
He is so good, dude. It's one of the most underlooked directors. Or overlooked? Is it
Underrated.
Underappreciated, yeah. Underlooked. I'm making up words here.
We might have to bring Chase back on for Doctor Strange.
He's extremely intelligent, too, which I enjoy.
I said I like Doctor Strange, and my friend said he was bored. And I was like, what about that movie was boring? I was like, I was in the theater. It's a spectacle.
Yeah.
We talked about substance and visuals. Doctor Strange had plenty. I loved it. Anyway, whatever.
And Benedict Cumberbatch is perfect for that role, so.
Talk about, someone that was just
Perfect
perfectly...
cast, yeah. It's another Tony Stark.
Yeah, and I could get why maybe someone's like, well, it's another Tony Stark. But it's like, okay, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, yeah, there will be a day where I get sick of it, and I'll watch the Watchmen.
Same with Peter Quill and Thor. Same people, but both really good.
Yeah, and when I want to switch it up from a Marvel, I'll watch a DC film and get depressed.
And then go back to Marvel.
And then I'll watch 10 more Marvel movies until I get sick of them and get superhero fatigue, and then I'll go back to another DC movie or watch Watchmen again.
And The Boys Season 3.
His Boys Season 3. Rian Johnson's masterpiece, The Last Jedi. Film of a generation. I learned things from like other directors like Adam Sandler. I found out that you can actually rob people of their money and make films going on vacation. Like you can make a movie like Jack and Jill and get paid and keep your agreement that you'll come out with a film every other year or every year, whatever he has. And it's like you literally are filming nothing. It's like you on a vacation and you're being goofy while doing it. It's like that's not a film. That's literally you robbing the company, like Universal Pictures, and it's also you robbing people's wallets. Like how they paid to see your films. Like that's not fair. And then I watched this movie and I'm like, Rian Johnson, he can do whatever he wants. He's a creative, and it's like you can do that, but you are showing no respect for what's come before. And it's like you're free to do that on your own film. Why on earth would you do it with the most popular
for the source material
IP of all time?
Yeah.
A $4 billion IP. That's amazing. I don't know how that one fell through the cracks. Like someone was watching and was like, yeah, this will be great. It's like, did no one see the film before they released it?
Solo, boo!
I never finished Solo to this day. I will never finish that movie.
Oh, I finished it.
Rogue One was great. Loved Rogue One. That's so funny. And see, I was like, hey, you can make little small indie films of Star Wars. And then like immediately after, they're like,
I wasn't a
let's
fan
do
of
it.
Rogue One.
Yeah, I disagree.
And sometimes it's okay to have ambiguity too. Like sometimes it's like, I don't need to see milk coming out of an alien's teat to understand that Luke can feed himself on an island. I don't need to see it. Like that's Sam Raimi bullcrap. Like you're not Sam Raimi. You are Rian Johnson. Why are you subjecting us to this? It's punishment. Like like I'm literally gonna show your hero that you grew up with. He's sucking green milk out of an alien's teat. Just so you can not respect him whatsoever. It's like, thank you, I get the picture. This is the guy that turned down death in the face of Darth Sidious, and now I have to watch him milk a farm animal. Like, thank you for subjecting me to that. Holy crap. Anyway, that is a discussion for another time.
All I have to do is ask Hayden Christensen if it was worth it.
Speaking of which, Hayden Christensen, I heard that I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but Hayden Christensen is rumored to be in the next project, right? Did I hear that right? Oh, one serious, dude. He's coming back. Hayden Christensen, baby. I'm glad. I honestly am. If you guys have ever seen Shattered Glass,
Amazing.
an amazing film.
Amazing.
And Hayden Christensen's great. And I'll be honest, I think that's George Lucas's directing. He should not write, but he should what's it called? Or maybe he should direct, but he should not write. He should not direct actors. Yeah, and he should not write. Yes, he's a storyteller. He's not a director, and he's not a screenplay writer whatsoever. And poor Hayden, he suffered from that, and it ruined
Sand.
his career. So I'm glad to see him back, because if he comes under any capacity of like Jon Favreau or any of those kind of directors that could give Hayden Christensen something to do, I could see an awakening of Hayden Christensen and many more films of him in the future. And I hope he gets his life back. Maybe they'll bring back Anakin. That poor little kid. They ruined that kid's life. That kid, he swore off acting. He just wants to be alone now, dude. That's so sad. Jar Jar Binks too. He did nothing wrong. That kid read his lines. That was the opportunity of a lifetime. Any kid that was 10 years old, 12 years old would have taken it. I would have taken it. I would have jumped. I would have begged to do that role. Freak, dude. That's so sad. Oh my gosh, this has been such a good discussion. I'm almost crying.
Love you.
Me too. Well, and let's all agree that was the best prequel, I think. I mean, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, the third one, I think it was the best of the three.
I don't know, that final scene, Ty, of number 2, I used to rewatch that when I was like 8 on loop, man. I would watch that over and over.
Which one? With Yoda fights Dooku, or what? What are you talking about?
No, the final scene when, when they're in like the pit or whatever, and then they fight like the 3 monsters.
The gladiator fight?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fun scene, but it's like...
Well, obviously,
like,
the
I don't
film
even know
is
what
trash.
I'm watching before we get there. Yeah.
What are you talking about when when Anakin slices those like killer millipedes, like, and then the girl's like face sinks in the beginning.
He sinks in. Wait, I don't even know what you're
It's
talking
so
about.
forgettable.
Yeah, that's right. I remember now.
He senses it in her
Those
bedroom.
poisonous centipedes.
Oh, the little centipedes. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Poisonous centipede. Yeah, you're a trained assassin. I'll just put in 2 centipedes in the room and assume they'll get the job done. What the fudge? I think that's one of those syndromes where in Hollywood he got so powerful because, I mean, like, this is the guy that wrote like the most successful IP of all time, right? Like Star Wars. And so it's a little funny where it's like, you're so powerful, no one can go to him and be like, George, maybe you need some help, or maybe you should get someone to help write this. Like, it's like, you can't tell that to the greatest storyteller of all time, right? Like, it's one of those things where, like that rant that Tom Cruise just did about the people on his set not wearing the mask or not distancing properly. It's like, that guy is so powerful, you can't tell Tom Cruise, the actor, like, no, leave those poor people alone. But it's like, dude, like, who's going to argue with Tom Cruise on the set of his movie? So he just starts rambling and no one stops him. Yeah, everyone just listens and takes it. Just watches the train wreck. Well, Tom Cruise gets a pass because in the end, like, Tom Cruise was just saying, hey, we got to do what our overlords say or they're going to shut us down. So I'm like, I'm totally on Tom Cruise's side. I'll come to his defense. But it just makes me laugh where it's like, no one said anything back to him. It's like, whereas like Christian Bale, he was freaking out at some guy at the lights and everything. And I'm like, I'm sure your job is very stressful being like such a famous person, you know? But again, this one's very different where it's like, we're going to get shut down. I've got producers breathing down my neck. And I'm like, dude, I'm Tom Cruise's side. Wear the mask, you dummy. Like, you're going to get movies shut down? Don't you dare intervene with my, don't you dare stop the release date of my next Mission Impossible movie. Don't you dare. I need those movies coming out every other year, man. So good. Does his own stunts. Cameron, how about you, man? What have you seen lately? Yeah, what are you looking forward to seeing? What have you seen lately?
About fetching time. Cheap! So I just recently watched a bunch of freaking really good movies. I watched Lone Survivor, starring Mark Wahlberg. It's a fantastic movie. Super intense. You feel every single fall when they fall down the steps.
I was just about to say, when they fall down that hill, oh, it's like watching Hot Rod.
Yeah, it is.
It's not funny at all.
It's like, oh! Yeah, it's just so painful. Oh, and it just makes you appreciate our veterans. And then I watched American Animals. It's ridiculous. Very well. I love the storytelling style.
Is that
in it.
the
It's
heist
amazing.
one? The heist one, right?
Very,
I love that one.
It's ridiculous how it's a true story. And I love how you kind of see everybody's point of view, and then at the end,
An interview with the actual people that robbed.
Yeah, and then have it along with it, and then I love how sometimes they would have like them talking over, and then have like the actual person describing the scene, and then my favorite part was like the twist at the end where they're like, we don't even like actually know if like he actually went to Europe, and we have no idea if he actually did this, so we could have just been like going in blindly, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like if this friend, like if there was ever a person to try to convince his friends to get into the thing, that's the things to do. And it's scary, and I love it. I love shows that show the consequences of committing crimes or consequences of your actions. And then I love we watched Scrooge as a family. It's a super classic, the 1970 film.
Great music.
Directed by Ronald Neame, starring Albert Finney. And then also, I watched Focus, starring Will Smith and Margot Robbie. I love Margot Robbie, and Will Smith's also just a great actor. But I don't know. The film was very interesting. It's kind of one of those films where I'm like, I'm not sure what the fudge is going on. There was a couple really good scenes, but there was twists when there didn't need to be a twist, where I was kind of like, not sure if that twist makes sense or works well in the film. And then also I watched The Gentleman. Oh, fantastic. A Guy Ritchie film starring Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, Michael Dockery, and Jeremy Strong. And it is fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. I love the storytelling in it.
Dude, Guy Ritchie, man, he reminds me so much of Edgar Wright. Those two guys are
they are very similar with the quick cuts and the
very
storytelling, the the montages. And play a game with me, Raymond. Oh, I love the English accents.
Play a game with me.
It's like, I'm not playing a game. Play an effing game, Raymond. And then I also watched Sicario. Holy cow! It's Denis Villeneuve, or whatever, however the frick you say his French name.
Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve. It stars Emily Blunt, and then Josh Brolin, and then Benicio del Toro. And holy crap, that movie is insane! I love it. A lot of people don't like it. It's definitely dark. The scene where he fetches.
Well, don't watch the trailer. See, you watch the trailer and you think it's gonna be like this action-packed drug-busting ring, and it's more of like a morality tale. Just saying. Trailer misled a lot of people, and that's why I think a lot of people
I watched the trailer 2 or 3 times, and I still fetching loved it.
But again, to your credit, Cameron, I think you know who Denis Villeneuve is and his body of work, so you can kind of
if you watch Enemy, you'll be like you'll have your expectations will be like this on every single film. Expecting
and then
to
you watch it, you're like, oh, but I understood everything in this one.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, so there wasn't a deeper meaning to absolutely every single thing I saw in the entire film.
There were no spiders in this film.
No upside down spider head ladies. And then also I watched The Hangover. Such a funny movie. I watched it with Jordan and Ty, and then also our cousin Jake and Grant.
We corrupted you, Cameron. I'm so sorry.
It's such a funny movie. Bradley Cooper's one of my favorite actors. I think he's in my top 10 actors of all time, or he's in the top 15 for sure. And it's super fun kind of seeing him get his first role and just kind of seeing them all together. And oh man, dude, freaking what's his name? Ed Helms, I believe. That's Nard Dog from The Office, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's his wife and just how whipped he is the funniest I've ever seen in my life. And then I also watched Palm Springs with Jake. Jake actually recommended it to us. It's starring Andy Samberg. And it's literally, if you like Happy Death Day, it's Happy Death Day with Andy Samberg. So I loved it because I love Andy Samberg. He's one of my favorite actors.
What movie was it? Sorry, which movie?
Palm Springs.
Palm Springs. I'll look that up.
It's really funny. And it actually has a pretty good message overall. And then also I just recently watched The Founder starring Michael Keaton, and holy mother of mercy, that's a scary human being. Would not want to be on the bad side of him. It is. It's a really good movie.
It's a good one.
And I think it's crazy how it's a true story and how you just see. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of The Wolf of Wall Street, where he's just like, I'm gonna take everything. I don't care. And you're just like, oh snap.
The corrupt capitalist movie genre. Yep, it's out there. And those movies are great. I love those. American made too.
I also watched I, Tonya, which is it's the competitive ice skater Tonya Harding. It talks about her story, starring Margot Robbie and Sebastian Stan. I watched it with Grant. It's super funny. At the end of the movie, Grant's like, wait, that was the Winter Soldier? He's like, that was Bucky? I was like, you didn't notice the entire movie? Clearly Sebastian's mustache must have been so bad that Grant was just totally thrown off the whole Bucky trail. He goes, I thought Sebastian did a great job. Same with Margot Robbie. She did a really good job. They did a great job trying to make, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful women, of all time, try to make her look, ugly or, weird. She's still a babe. But, And also, they did a great job on the filming of like skating, because when you watch the real footage at the end of the film, like it's almost identical to a lot of the scenes. I was very impressed. I was like, I don't know how they did that with all the cuts and trying to get it to where it's not Margot Robbie spinning. I'm like, whatever they did a great job.
Very cool.
And then also I watched, because I'm going through pretty much every single film my boy Jake Gyllenhaal's ever been in. So I just recently watched Demolition. And what the fudge type of movie was that? It's a great movie. It's like it's another Enemy. I was like,
what's it called? Demolition. Is that the one where he's taking down that house, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So his wife dies in a car accident. Like the first like 2 minutes, and the whole movie's kind of talking about how he doesn't feel like, it's like this weird feeling because he's like never felt emotion before or whatever. He's like, I don't feel sad that my wife is dead. He's like, I don't know, maybe I didn't ever love her. And then like it just kind of shows how he's like trying to do anything he can to try to feel alive and stuff like that. He's like, I'm noticing things I've never noticed before. And the movie just ends and me and Garrett just look at each other, and I was like, Garrett was like, what did I watch? He's like, what was the purpose of that? I was like, dude, that was so good, but it was so weird at the same
It's like
time.
that movie found its audience. It's made for like 3 people on this planet.
Yeah, it's made for people, weirdos like me, who absolutely love Jake Gyllenhaal and all of his performances. He does such, oh my gosh. I was telling Grant, I was like, Jake Gyllenhaal's got to be a sociopath in real life, because you just look at him, he does it too easily. Like, he does it flawlessly every single time he's a sociopath. He's just like, he's so good at being detached, like acting like literally like so detached from like human society. I'm like, dude, you're insane. And then what I'm looking forward to, Blade Runner 2049's been on my list for a while. And also The Machinist and which one?
Also good.
I think it was Her.
Her's good.
And I also added just recently The Heartbreak Kid to my list. But the one that I got recommended from one of my good friends, Brighton, who was also on the podcast for About Time, she absolutely loves Soul, the new Disney film. So I'm definitely going to have to check that out. She said that she needs her tears to be validated. So I made her a promise that we'd validate her tears. But I'm really excited to check that out. I love Inside Out.
Yeah, it's not their best film, but I enjoyed it.
I remember watching Inside Out and thinking I was a little underwhelmed, and I watched it the second time, and I'm like, oh,
that's great.
That's a much better film. Yeah,
I
think a lot of it just...
What's the elephant guy's name? Bimbo or Gimbo? Gizmo? I bawled my eyes out.
Oh, yeah.
When he couldn't make it out of that pit. Oh.
Yeah.
Bing bong,
Bing
yeah.
bong. The cotton candy elephant.
The cotton-headed
Imaginary
Niggy
friend. Cotton-headed Niggy Million.
Oh my gosh. Wait, can I go really quick?
Please.
Yeah,
I just
I'm done.
I don't have I can't remember a ton of stuff I've been watching. Most of it's with Cameron. I mean, we watched that stuff when we got together last week. And then this other one that I did watch last night or 2 nights ago, because I was waiting for it to hit the $5 bin, and it finally did, and I watched it and I loved it. It's called Bloodsucking, and it's really funny. There's just a bunch of really funny scenes. One of them...
is it about vampires? Or?
Yeah, it's about vampires. It's got the guy from Mandalorian. He's the vampire. They hire him...
Clint Eastwood's grandson?
Funny. Anyways, so they hire him to kind of clean house, but like literally clean house and kill everybody and turn them into vampires. And so it's just really funny because it's also got the kid that gets high in Cabin in the Woods. Anyways, there's just a lot of really funny scenes.
That kid. Yeah, where did that kid go? I never saw him again.
Well, he's in Training Day, Ty. He's one of the kids in the car. Yeah, he's in a lot. Yeah, he's in a lot of big movies. Like he's like just the side character in a ton of stuff.
That's so funny that you said that. I never realized that.
Yeah, if you look at his film history, he's done a lot of really big movies, but he just plays as like side people. Anyways, he really funny. Gig. There's so many funny movie moments in the movie. Like there's one scene where the guy throws a knife and it barely misses his head, and then all of a sudden because it reminds me of Better Off Dead when he's like, I want my $2. Well, this guy's running this pole, and he keeps asking people for $10, and then when he turns into vampire, he like gets all intense and he's like, I want my $10, mother effer, and it's just really funny. Like I don't know, funny movie, but I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. I just for people weirdos like me, I recommend it too. So
So you found your movie then, I guess.
I found my movie. Yep.
You found my movie. It's hilarious. Yeah, I watched. So going back, the earliest movie I watched was Barefoot in the Park. I was trying to find a romantic comedy to watch with my wife. That one doesn't date that well. Like, I don't find it very good. Like, it's got Robert Redford, who's charming as always, and Jane Fonda, who is a total knockout, I'm sure. And the movie just doesn't work. Like, it's not fun. Like, I watched it, and I'm like, it reminded me of watching Breakfast at Tiffany's, where I'd heard so much about this. They're like, this is what, like, culture was. Like, it was so edgy, and I'm like, this movie is conservative by all accounts. Like, it literally shows how terrible your life would be if you had weirdos coming through in and out of your apartment all day. Like, yeah, no thanks. Like, anyway, just dumb. Like, I don't know. How do I put this? Like, it's weird because I see it now and I'm like, wow, movies like this were really edgy and scandalous at the day, and now they're super, reserved. But in the end, it was a dumb movie. Don't recommend it. Doesn't age well. Maybe an updated version. Where, like, let me say one thing. So one of the jokes is that they live on the fifth story, and like 10 different times, 10 different characters come up the steps to deliver something at the front doorstep, and they're like out of breath, and that's the joke. Like, that they live 5 flights up the stairs. Like, yeah, we got the joke the first time. They do it like 10 times throughout the movie, and sometimes they do it with repeating characters. It's like, we get it. You live on the 5th story apartment. It's high up there.
I don't know. Now that you're saying it out loud, it makes me. It sounds funny.
Want to see it.
Yeah.
If I could do a super cut of the movie and make it like 20 minutes, and I could probably put in 5 minutes of laughter from the whole hour and 46 minutes that this movie runs.
Well, I noticed that with a lot of older comedies, Ty. Like, there's just moments like that are really funny. Like, I watched Stripes, and I'm like, maybe if I was like living in that time, I would think it was hilarious.
Jokes. No. The truth is, like, comedies was like, well, you tell 5 jokes and it's a comedy. It's like,
yeah.
No. It turns out you can be funny every 30 seconds if you're clever and you have a good story to tell and you have characters that you care about. But in this film, it's like, ha ha ha! You climbed up 5 flights of stairs and now they're winded. It's like, yes, I got it the first 10 times you told the joke. It's even funnier the second 20 times I heard it. The joke gets funnier and funnier every time you tell it. Anyway, I was trying to look for a fun romantic comedy and ended up skipping parts of it because I'm like,
apparently there's a rule, and it's supposed to be like you do it 3 times, and that's
jokes
like
of 3.
Jokes
I'm
of 3.
telling you, there's one character that does it 3 times,
and
so, like, everyone is climbing up these stairs and having a hard time with it. 3 times per minute, right? That's 3 times per minute. The joke never gets. It's the classic, like you would understand it. It's the newlywed couple, and then they start having problems, and they think they want a divorce, and they find each other at the end. Seen it a million times. All the movies rip off of it. All the romantic comedies rip off of it. It's not dated well. That's all. Movie that did date well. After that, I watched True Grit. One of the greatest remix. No, I love the original with John Wayne.
Remix?
I don't even know if that's the original, but the one with John Wayne and then the remake with Jack Bridges. Holy cow, Matt Damon. And Haley Streisand. What's it?
But the original is a classic. I like the original.
The original's great. But they're both really good. Thank you. Because the remake is wonderful. Matt Damon, holy cow. Jeff Bridges is like on a whole new plane. And the Coen brothers coming together, making just a gritty Western. Yes. So good. So flipping good. And yeah, dude. And then I watched The Hangover late at night with Cameron, Grant, Jordan, and Jake.
Yeah, that was fun.
Super fun. That was a fun movie night. I come in there, you guys all already decided that you were going to watch something, and then I'm like, hang on.
We're gonna watch The Big
good.
Lebowski.
Hangover.
It's good.
Watch The Big Lebowski.
Which is still good. I'm not saying it's not good, but for that group, that was the perfect movie to choose.
Well, I didn't realize Cameron and Grant hadn't seen it because I've seen it so many times. I'm just like, everyone's seen this.
Yes.
I'm like, there's no way they haven't seen this.
Right. Oh my gosh. I found a baby before. You found a baby? Yeah, coffee bean. So funny. So watch that. And then now I started a new movie journal for this year. And the first one went on this list for this year was Watchmen. So watch Watchmen. So I'm all caught up to speed.
I can't believe I thought you had seen it, Ty. I'm surprised you haven't seen that movie.
Well, like I said,
Thank you, Chase, for telling us to watch this movie. I didn't realize my brothers hadn't seen it. So
I had seen it. I saw it literally 6 months ago, Jordan.
I saw it in college, just never finished it because I didn't think it was good. I heard from every single person on earth that I shouldn't watch it or I shouldn't like it by all accounts. So I never bothered to watch it. And now it turns out everyone in the world is crazy and wrong. That's crazy. It's like peak.
I think it's picking up on
the Matrix.
I think it's picking up on a cult following now. Like people are starting to realize how good
that's
it
why
is.
you have a new show. There's a new awakening and a clamor for this kind of material. So things I'm looking forward to seeing. One, I'm looking forward to looking all the new Watchmen material out there. I'm going to start watching the show. I'm going to find the comic books. Another thing I'm looking forward to is I think they announced a Matrix 4. I think it is
4.
Yeah, there's a new one.
There's already photos.
Yeah, and so I'm excited to see that just because I really like Keanu Reeves. I think he's a really cool guy, even though I don't think he's necessarily a good actor per se. Like he's kind of a one. Like I like that he's kind of like the Tom Cruise. Like Tom Cruise was like going in the dramatic route, and then he's like, no, I'm
not worried about him. I'm worried about the Wachowskis, dude. Ever since after the Matrix, man, they've just been doing swings and misses on every single one.
Yeah, they're swinging for the fences. That's for sure. Yeah, I hope what I've seen, I'm trying to think of a franchise that came back and didn't do a good job at least making a decent film. Because even though there's like nostalgia and there's things like Bill and Ted's Face the Music, it was a good movie, even though it's not like it's a good movie. I mean, like if you don't like it, that's fine.
I enjoyed it.
It's a good movie, though. Yeah, it's very enjoyable. Is it revolutionary? No. Is it life-altering? No. But it's still a good movie.
No, it actually isn't life-altering. It makes me never want to ever watch a Keanu Reeves film ever again after watching John Wick. It's fetching, goes from John Wick, a masterpiece, to fetching that shiz.
Dude, watch Bogus Journey. That's still the best one, in my opinion, and you haven't seen it. You've only seen 1 and 3, so you should totally... Or, did you see the third one, Cameron?
I saw 1, and that is enough for my life.
You saw 1, yeah. I think 2 is a better movie, and it's better comedy. But anyway,
better comedy, better than bro, the Kelly Bro accent.
Well, it's so funny that you dislike that. See, because that's my least favorite part about it. Anyway, whatever. That's a discussion for another time. And then ultimately, I'm looking forward to. I saw another trailer for a movie. I think we already talked about it though. The Bob Odenkirk one, normal. Or what was it called? The Jordan Ordinary, right? Or no.
Dude,
it looks like normal person.
What?
It looks so good. It's like John Wick, but Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul. What is it? It's like
Mr. Nobody.
Mr. Nobody, right? Or is it Mr. Nobody? Or it's just called Nobody?
Just Nobody. Sorry.
Nobody. Yeah, Mr. Nobody's somebody else. So yeah, very, very looking forward.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
I think Bob Odenkirk is one of those upcoming actors where it's like he got a late start in life.
He tried to get. He would have been swinging. I mean, he would have had a home run with The Office. He tried to get for Michael Scott, but he...
Is that right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because he was in that episode of Cam's Office, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, there is a universe where he could have been... But again,
He could have been Steve Carell,
could have done the Steve Carell, but I almost would have loved him being a regular. Like, he could have been a regular on that show.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
Could have been Creed or anyone else. But anyway, that's so funny that you say that. That's crazy. What ifs, right? Casting what ifs is a kind of a fun game. So we're going to end the podcast now. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Leave your reviews, 5-star reviews. Write us emails, futuromovies@gmail.com. And
check us out on Spotify.
Movies. Check us out. Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all the platforms. YouTube. Peace. Take it easy. Oh, what are we doing next week, real quick?
This is the end of Rorschach's Journal.
This is the end. Do we have, what are we reviewing next week?
Oh,
is it my turn?
We're doing Goonies.
We're doing Goonies. I thought so. I just wanted to announce it. We're doing Goonies. You heard it here, folks. Hey, you guys. Can't wait. So excited. All right, you guys. Peace and blessings.
Bye.
Stay safe. Bye.